Welcome to our first episode of shocking and scary stuff that happens in Kenya that I'm sure you do not know about. Yeah, this should be quite an interesting one for you. We shall of course be dealing with both scary and shocking stuff. Yeah, but for this week we're going to deal with something very, very scary and very real that happened in our beautiful country of Kenya and still happens in our beautiful country of Kenya. I'm in the dry savannah land of Makueni County. Very dry and unforgiving land. Very scenic and beautiful to the visitor. You can have many dreams, dream many dreams, think of many things you could do here. But to the locals who live here, life is hard and sometimes dangerous. Of course, one of the biggest problems is water. People walk for miles to fetch it, and it is usually fetched on the dry riverbeds of dried up seasonal rivers. It's a very hard life here. To fetch water, residents would have to walk for very many miles, through thickets, through bushes, through all kinds of environment. The trip to fetch water and back home could take the whole day, or most of the day. Snakes are of course a huge problem in Makueni. People get bitten by snakes all the time. A lot of them survive. A few don't make it to hospital on time. But scenes like this are very frequent. You can see the child there being under attack from a snake in this amazing photograph. But the truth is that people here have learned to live with snakes, to survive with the snakes amongst them. It is true that snakes will not ordinarily attack a person, yeah, unless they feel threatened, yeah. And that's why all the more why this tale you're about to hear is really, really amazing. And to snake experts would be puzzling. But it actually happened. Our scary tale starts one ordinary morning, with people doing ordinary stuff. This lady goes to the goes to the river to fetch water, as she usually does. Okay? She fetches water. Unfortunately, on this particular day, she was alone. The children had gone to school. Her husband had gone out to look for something for the family. So she finishes fetching the water and she starts to walk back. And that is when things change. Things take a turn for something bizarre. The only eyewitnesses to this tale are not credible. They were children. Children heard screams from this woman, they said. And when they rushed, they could not believe what they were seeing. She was actually under attack by a huge snake, which appeared to be strangling her. The children obviously were very scared of snakes, so they ran very fast to look for help to the nearest grown-up they could find. They could not find anybody. They rushed back apprehensively to find out what could have happened next. By the time they got back, all they could see was this abandoned water bucket, abandoned by the woman. The woman was nowhere to be seen. The local administration was informed finally, and investigation started into this matter. But there were a lot of difficulties. One of the biggest obstacles was the superstitious nature of the people in this area, who believed that this attack was no ordinary attack. They believed that it was some kind of witchcraft spell. Yeah, and this belief was even strengthened more when several attempts to capture the snake with a huge protruding belly failed. Now, ordinarily, when a snake has fed on such a huge prey, it should be easy to catch it because it can hardly move. But for some strange reason, they were not able to capture this snake, despite several fruitless attempts. Now, according to locals in this area of Makueni, the ending of this tale has many different versions. But all these versions are the same in that the woman lost her life. Yeah? The woman did not survive this snake attack. Okay? But maybe if we can leave this tale for a while and maybe try and reconstruct if it's true. Actually, is it true that snakes can actually swallow a human being? Experts say this is rare. Okay? But they admit it happens. Now that is scary. The truth is that most people don't believe it can happen. And talking to the enterprising publisher of this Gutter Press publication in Nairobi, he told me this issue did not sell much. He was disappointed with the sales, meaning that a lot of people do not actually believe a snake swallowed a woman. But let's look at the facts. This is a photograph that has been doing the rounds on the internet recently, very recently. And that is a python, a huge snake, and it appears it has got what really appears to be a human being in its belly. Okay? Now that one you can write off as a rumor, yeah, or believe it. You'll choose what you want to do with it. But there was a recent story in the New York Times, yes, the reputable New York Times, and also it was also reported in BBC of a man who was recovered from a belly of a huge python in Indonesia. Yeah, you can see the pictures in front of your screen now. Amazing photographs. That arrow points to what looks like the legs of a person. Yeah, pretty amazing. And finally you can see the form of a person being removed. This is not Photoshop. This is not video editing. This actually happened. You can search on the internet and find this amazing story that was reported very recently, just this month. It happened in Indonesia. Okay, it is said in Indonesia this is not uncommon. Snakes actually swallow human beings whole. Of course they won't be able to survive because the first thing it does is it suffocates its victim. But let us now look at actual video footage of a snake swallowing a cow. A cow which, according to our estimations, is bigger than the size of the woman would have been. The woman was actually swallowed in Makueni. Yeah? You can see that the python actually is able to swallow that huge cow. Yeah, you can see it unfold. They are right before your eyes. Yes, a snake can actually swallow a human being. In fact, a human being is much easier to swallow than this huge cow with ears, horns, whatever, which, as you can see from the footage, the python had no problem at all. Yeah, amazing video footage. And this will help us reconstruct exactly what happened to that poor woman in Makueni. Very sad. One of the really shocking things that happens in your country, Kenya, that I'm sure you are not aware of. Now, the photographs of the man being retrieved from the belly of a snake were not very clear. So here I carry a clip of an animal being retrieved from the belly of a snake so that you can have a rough idea of how it's done. Yeah, you can see the belly being cut up gradually. This guy is quite skilled with a knife, I must say. Yeah, and finally there it is. The animal is out. Gosh, this is really scary stuff. So chances are that you saw this story in the 10 Bob Press in Nairobi. You saw it maybe somewhere in the streets with a street vendor, and you just passed it off. You just passed and said, our Gutter Press na uongo mezidi. Yeah, but actually this happened. This was a reality. It is still a reality, rare, but a reality in Kenya, where actually a snake swallows a whole human being. Why don't we hear it about in the news? Well, it's shrouded in a lot of superstition. People don't like talking about it because that area is the witchcraft area. People are very superstitious and they like to keep these tales to themselves. But if you talk to locals, and if they trust you enough, they will tell you some amazing tales. So I think that's about it for today. Thank you very much for your time. I look forward to next week again, when I'll bring you another shocking, scary, amazing tale of things that happen in Kenya that you have no idea about. Thank you. This is Kumekucha.